Imagine trying to build like a perfectly functioning human being, but you're using a set of blueprints that are actively rusting.
Right, which sounds like a bizarre sci-fi premise.
It really does. But from a biochemical standpoint, um, that is essentially what happens when oxidative stress attacks sperm DNA.
Exactly. And today we're stepping into the, incredibly high stakes world of reproductive medicine.
Welcome to the deep dive, by the way. I'm glad you're joining us. And we are setting a very specific mission today. We are not talking about dimly lit rooms or wind chimes or, the vague promise of balancing your energy.
Yeah, we're stripping away the mysticism entirely. We're diving straight into the hard clinical data.
Right, specifically the source material from the Berkeley Center for Reproductive Wellness, which is the first integrative reproductive medicine center in the U.S., along with the medical literature that supports their methods.
Because when you analyze the data coming out of these integrative fertility practices, you quickly realize we are looking at concrete, measurable alterations to the body.
We're going to explore exactly how things like acupuncture and herbal medicine physically alter, like vascular, endocrine, and inflammatory pathways.
And how they're being utilized to dramatically improve egg and sperm quality.
Yeah, because when a patient is going through assisted reproductive technology, RT, like IVF or IUI, they're investing immense emotional energy, and let's be honest, tens of thousands of dollars.
Right, they absolutely do not need a placebo.
Exactly. They need to know why integrating these ancient practices with modern RT is legitimately changing the fertility landscape.
So to understand that impact, we really have to start by isolating what is actually happening at the cellular level.
Okay, let's start with the female fertility equation. Mechanics over mysticism, right?
Right. So the literature identifies 4 major biological pathways that acupuncture actually manipulates. That's the nervous system, the vascular system, the endocrine system, and inflammatory pathways.
4 massive systems.
Mm.
But the vascular system is arguably the most critical starting point, isn't it?
Oh, absolutely, because infertility, blood flow kind of dictates everything. For women, it actively improves ovarian and uterine blood flow.
Let's get incredibly specific here, though, because the phrase improving blood flow is thrown around constantly in, like, wellness circles.
It really is. It almost loses its meaning.
Yeah. So how does inserting a microfine needle into the skin of the leg or, the abdomen actually force blood vessels in the pelvic floor to widen?
Well, we're basically looking at a localized microtrauma response that triggers a systemic cascade.
Okay, a systemic cascade. Break that down for me.
So when the needle stimulates specific peripheral nerves, it sends a signal up the spinal cord to the brain.
Right.
And the brain then reflexively sends signals back down to the pelvic region. This reflex arc triggers the endothelial cells, which are the cells lining the inside of your blood vessels, to release nitric oxide.
Oh, wow. And nitric oxide is a potent vasodilator.
Exactly. It forces the smooth muscles surrounding the ovarian and uterine arteries to just, relax and widen.
Wait. So we're creating a targeted, chemically induced vasodilation.
Yes. You're fundamentally changing the ratio of nutrients to waste in the immediate environment around the ovaries.
That's wild.
It is. That increased volume of blood delivers a significantly higher concentration of oxygen, macronutrients, and hormones directly to the developing follicles.
And I'm guessing that widened vascular highway also lets the body, efficiently flush out all the cellular waste.
You got it. It flushes out dead cells and metabolic byproducts that accumulate and kind of stifle cellular growth.
When you describe it as a localized infrastructure change, it makes all those traditional analogies feel completely inadequate.
How do you mean?
Well, if the ovary is a manufacturing plant, acupuncture isn't just sprinkling magic dust on the roof and hoping for a better yield.
Right. No magic dust here.
It's more like upgrading the local power grid and widening the supply roads leading into the factory.
That's a perfect way to look at it.
We're optimizing the blood flow and hormone signaling so the biological factory actually has the raw materials required to produce a much better product, meaning, the egg.
And it's important to note that it's supporting follicle development and improving the environment surrounding the egg by also regulating stress-related hormone signaling.
Okay, wait. So widening the supply roads with acupuncture is great.
Yeah.
And I have to ask, what happens on the days between treatments?
Right, because the acupuncture session doesn't last forever.
Exactly. The reproductive factory has to keep running continuously. So how do we maintain that environment?
Well, this is where the biochemical bridge comes in. The clinical literature points to herbal medicine to provide that constant maintenance.
Okay, I want to pause on the phrase herbal medicine because it carries so much baggage.
Oh, I know. It really does.
Right. I mean, when people hear herbal medicine, they usually picture like a soothing cup of chamomile tea before bed, just something mild to help you relax.
Yeah, we need to completely discard the chamomile 2 image.
Good, because we are talking about targeted biochemical interventions here, right?
Right.
Talking about physically altering cellular energy and mitochondrial function.
Exactly. The botanical formulations used in integrative reproductive medicine provide ongoing biochemical support between acupuncture visits.
So they're doing heavy lifting in the background.
They really are. Their compounds specifically support antioxidant defense, they reduce the systemic inflammatory burden, and they assist mitochondrial energy production.
Let's break down that inflammatory burden piece. Why is inflammation such a threat to an egg?
Well, chronic low-grade inflammation is essentially, it's like biochemical static.
Biochemical static, okay.
Yeah, when immune cells release pro-inflammatory cytokines, those molecules actively interfere with the delicate hormonal crosstalk between the brain and the ovaries.
So it's scrambling the signal.
Right, and these herbal compounds step in to lower that baseline static without disrupting the ovulation cycle. But the other massive thing they do is assist with the mitochondria.
Because human eggs are massive energy hogs, aren't they?
Oh, huge. An oocyte, a human egg, has more mitochondria than almost any other cell in the body.
Wow.
Yeah, and it requires an immense amount of ATP to mature, divide, and successfully implant. If the mitochondria are sluggish, the chromosomes don't separate correctly.
Which leads to chromosomal abnormalities.
Exactly, which is a leading cause of miscarriage and failed IVF cycles.
So the herbal formulations are literally feeding the power plants inside the cells.
Yes. And this leads to direct benefits. You see better egg maturation, a more robust ovarian response, menstrual regularity, and endometrial receptivity.
Endometrial receptivity meaning making the uterus ready for implantation.
Exactly. You're preparing the soil to receive the seed.
Okay, so we've optimized the egg, we've optimized the uterus. But fertilization inherently requires two healthy components.
Yes, it absolutely does.
And fertility is way too often framed strictly as a women's health issue. So we need to look at the missing half of the equation here, the male factor.
Which is crucial because male factor infertility accounts for roughly 50% of all infertility cases.
Right, so do these exact same tools affect sperm in a similar way?
They really do. The sources outline that acupuncture improves testicular circulation, which logically tracks with our earlier discussion about vasodilation.
So applying that same principle of enhanced nutrient delivery and waste removal to the sperm-producing cells.
Exactly. But the mechanism that is really fascinating here is how it significantly lowers oxidative stress in men.
Okay, oxidative stress.
Yeah.
Tell me more about how that impacts the sperm specifically.
Well, sperm cells are uniquely vulnerable to their environment. A sperm cell is essentially like a microscopic torpedo designed for one singular mission: deliver the DNA payload.
Right, they strip down to become as light and fast as possible.
Yes, they shed almost all of their cytoplasm. The cytoplasm is where a cell stores its natural antioxidant defense enzymes.
Oh, I see. So by stripping it away, the sperm sacrifices its internal defense systems.
Exactly. It becomes highly exposed to free radicals. And if a man has high oxidative stress, those free radicals just bombard the sperm, essentially rusting out the cellular membrane.
Which brings us back to the rusting blueprints analogy from the intro.
Yes. That rust penetrates the cell and attacks the payload itself. It causes DNA fragmentation.
Okay, this is the part that genuinely shocked me. It's fascinating that it improves DNA integrity.
It changes the whole paradigm.
It really does, because we tend to think of DNA as this completely fixed, untouchable code, like a vault. But this implies that lowering oxidative stress through these treatments actually acts as a physical shield.
Conceptualizing it as a physical shield is highly accurate.
It's protecting the genetic blueprint of the sperm from getting scrambled before it's even delivered.
Right, and when you combine the acupuncture with herbal medicine, which supports hormone balance and cellular energy, it leads to incredibly concrete results.
Like what? What are we seeing in the data?
You see healthier sperm concentration, so a higher absolute number of sperm.
Okay, more sperm.
Plus improvements in motility, which is their movement, morphology, which is their shape, and liquefaction.
That is just incredible. We're actively protecting the blueprint of a future child.
We really are. Which brings us to the ultimate breakthrough, and honestly, the reason places like the Berkeley Center exist.
Right, the integrative synergy. What happens when these modalities are combined?
Yes, because the best outcomes occur when both are used together. Acupuncture improves the regulation and circulation, while the herbal medicine provides the continuous internal support.
And this is exactly what the Berkeley Center for Reproductive Wellness specializes in, right?
Exactly. They were the first integrative reproductive center in the U.S.
And for anyone listening who wants to actually see how this model is structured, you can find their resources at www.berkeleycenter.com or give them a call at 212-685-0985.
It's a fantastic resource because their whole model shows that together, these practices create the strongest possible reproductive environment to support assisted reproductive treatment outcomes.
To summarize that synergy for you listening, it's like acupuncture is the physical therapy, and the herbs are the daily nutritional macros.
That's a great analogy.
Right.
Yeah.
Because you wouldn't try to heal a major sports injury by only doing physical therapy twice a week, but eating junk food.
No, of course not.
And you wouldn't eat a perfect diet, but completely ignore rehabilitating the injured tissue. You need both to create the optimal biological conditions for life.
Which is why integrative medicine isn't some battle between Eastern and Western approaches.
Right, it's not a competition.
Not at all. It's about using the specific vascular and biochemical tools of one to dramatically boost the clinical success of the other.
You are stacking the deck in favor of life by leaving nothing to chance at the cellular level.
And demystifying the process along the way.
Absolutely. The mysticism just vanishes when you look at the mechanics.
Yeah.
But looking at the sheer mechanical power of these tools leaves me with one final kind of mind-bending question for you to ponder.
Buzz.
What's that?
Well, we've just spent this deep dive exploring how acupuncture and herbal medicine can actively alter mitochondrial energy, right?
And protect DNA integrity to literally help create new life. But mitochondria and DNA are the foundational building blocks of every single tissue in our bodies.
They are.
So if we can successfully utilize these integrative tools to supercharge cellular energy and halt genetic degradation in an egg or a sperm, how might medical science eventually map these exact same cellular defense mechanisms onto extending human longevity?
Wow. That's a massive thought.
Right. Could the very same vascular and botanical protocols we are using to spark life today eventually hold the key to slowing down the aging process in the rest of the body tomorrow?
The physiological overlap there is undeniable. I mean, if you can preserve the integrity of a cell at the reproductive level, the implications for systemic aging are just profound.
It is definitely something to mull over while you imagine that intricate, beautifully complex biological factory quietly running inside you. Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. We'll catch you on the next one.